Welcome to this week's episode of A Nice Cup of History. You may have noticed that we've slightly amended our upload amounts. We used to be weekly, which was sometimes a struggle, and we would rush or feel bad if we had to miss one, or 6 months of one. So we had to decide to change it. So we've changed it to bi-weekly or fortnightly, depending on how you say it. I don't know. This will enable us to have a bit of a breather and a bit longer to bring you the high-caliber podcast you have come to love.
This week we are joined by our marvellous friend, Mr. Liam Mandy.
Mr. Mandy!
Pants. You can't say Mr. Mandy.
Mr. Mandy Pants.
I'd like to say that Mr. Mandy is my dad, but this is not.
You're Mr. Mandy the second.
Wow.
Mr. Mandy the younger.
The younger.
Anyway, Hi Liam, how are you?
Hi, I'm good now, I'm the younger.
Well, you are younger than your dad, otherwise it'd be weird.
Fact.
Yeah.
Unless it's all like Back to the Future-ish.
Ooh.
Like crowbar a film reference in there.
And it's one of the best films ever.
I've seen it once.
What?
We'll discuss that afterwards.
Moving swiftly
but
on.
Now, Liam is going to help us delve into yet another known fairy tale where lying murder and a gruesomely detailed death is conveniently left out of the Disney version. And our ridiculous Harry Potter on the mind. And our ridiculous death for this week will highlight the importance of watching where you're going at a funeral and that it is okay to sometimes make the widow laugh. Now, Everyone grab a brew. Carrie, Liam, got a brew?
Yep.
I have a can of Coke, is that acceptable?
It's a beverage of some description.
And then beverage is a check.
Fab, fantastic. Let's get historical.
For today's story, we're going to take you back to 19th century Italy, Florence to be exact. A 57-year-old chap called Carlo Collodi has spent the last 20 years writing mostly political stories for his two own created newspapers. Put my teeth back in. The Il Lampione, which was censored by order of the Grand Duke of Tuscany in 1853, only for him to then publish a second newspaper in 1854 called Lo Scaramuccia, which translates to The Controversy in English.
Bit of a rebel there, now, Carlo.
Yeah, fun fact though, his real name is actually Carlo Lorenzini. He began using a pseudonym, Collodi, which was taken from his mother's hometown, which is kind of cute, I guess. This change occurred around 1860, when he published his first notable work called Il Signor Alberi al Ragione.
You're doing very well with the Italian, Carrie.
Grazie? Grazie? Yeah, grazie. Gracias is Spanish. Or Mr. Alberi is Right in English, which outlined his political and cultural vision of Italy. So you can kind of see why he might have started to want to maybe hide who he really is just a smidge. Mm-hmm. Shortly after this, Collodi became disillusioned with Italian politics. Can't think why. So he turned his attention to children's literature. But there's a change there for Carlo. His first works involved translating French fairy tales into Italian. So, for example, in 1875, he completed Racconti delle Fate, and a translation of... Oh, sorry. I'm trying not to sneeze. It's really bad. A translation of French fairy tales by Charles Perrault. In 1876, he wrote a pedagogic series which explored the unification of Italy through the ironic thoughts and actions of the character Gianettina.
Well done. I'm very proud of you, Carrie.
Thank you.
It was at this point that Collodi became fascinated by the idea of using a friendly but rascally character as a way of expressing his own convictions through fables and stories. Do you need to sneeze, Carrie?
No, the sneeze is gone. I'm so disappointed. Sorry.
You sound genuinely upset. Oh, you missed the sneeze that never was.
I do. It's so close.
It's like a kid's story, the sneeze that never was.
Coming soon to a bookstore near you.
So, in 1880, he began writing Storia di un Bertino.
Woo!
Thanks. Or The Story of the Marionette, which was first published on the 7th of July, 1881. This was on a weekly basis in Il Giornale per... Carrie?
Il Giornale per I Bambini.
Which was the first Italian newspaper for children, which... You know, how many children read a newspaper? Unless it's just their fancy magazine sort of thing.
I mean, this was a time before phones and tablets, so, you know, they probably had to learn to read.
Fair one. And it was also called...
Le Avventure di Pinocchio.
Yes, ladies and gents, this week's fairy tale is Pinocchio.
Woo!
Published as a full singular book in February 1883. Honestly, I was shocked when I read the original non-Disney version of this for the research of this. It's quite brutal. But in short, the story is about the mischievous adventures of an animated marionette named Pinocchio and his father, a poor woodcarver named Geppetto. All seems a little bit... You know that storyline?
Yeah, it seems sweet, but I've heard this one before and oh my gosh, it's dark.
Liam, have you heard it before?
No, I haven't.
Brace yourself.
But
Just
I've
brace
learned
yourself.
from, like, the Brothers Grimm that original versions are a lot more graphic than the versions we all know.
Yeah. And I take it you have seen the Disney version of Pinocchio. So
I mean,
when
that's
say
pretty
Yes.
messed up.
Good.
That's pretty dark.
I mean, that one's pretty dark as it is.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is. Generally
Yeah.
quite haunting.
Yeah.
But similar to a... Similar?
Similar.
I've been watching too much Kevin and Stacey. Similar to our previous Fairy Tale Origins podcast, Ashputal, or as we called it, If the Shoe Fits.
Woo! Puns.
We are going to read the plot before we discuss it. Well, we're reading the detailed plot rather than the whole story like we did before, due to the fact that the actual story is 177 pages long, and we're not sure that anyone wants to listen to us for hours.
I mean, we hope you do.
But all of the best bits are kept in, and to kick it off is Mr. Mandy himself. Take it away, Liam.
You literally said you couldn't call me Mr. Mandy without putting the word pants below it earlier.
Well, I literally was trying my best.
Just as a disclaimer, his like Twitter handle and everything is Mr. Mandy Pants. We're not just calling him Mr. Mandy Pants. It's like a cute nickname.
It's not a really cruel nickname you've just come up with on the spot. It's a genuine branding.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mandy Pants, trademark.
So,
you.
story time with Liam.
Wow. The story begins in Tuscany, Italy. A carpenter named Master Antonio, but whom everyone calls Master Cherry, has found a block of wood which he plans to carve into a leg for his table. When he begins, however, the log shouts out. Frightened by the talking log, as you would be,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Master Cherry gives it to his neighbour, Geppetto, an extremely poor man who plans to make a living as a puppeteer in hopes of earning a crust of bread and a glass of wine. He could drink water with the bread, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's a very specific one, isn't it?
I don't know. This is 19th century Italy. Maybe the water was not a good idea.
I think the bread's just there to soak up the wine, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
At least you didn't steal my sneeze.
Or did I? Geppetto carves the block into a boy and names him Pinocchio.
Obviously.
But it's Italy, so it probably be like Pinocchio. See, I'm trying. As soon as Pinocchio, or Pinocchio's, nose has been carved, it begins to grow with his congenital impudence.
Impudence.
I was right.
He's a very
Congenital
naughty boy.
Before he is even built, Pinocchio already has a mischievous attitude.
Are you alright, dear?
Well,
I mean, he's doing better than me. He can actually say the word similar.
We are not wording good.
Before he's even built, Pinocchio has a mischievous attitude. No sooner than has Geppetto finished carving Pinocchio's feet, does the puppet proceed to kick him.
Rude.
Very rude.
Mm-hmm.
Once the puppet has been finished and Geppetto teaches him to walk, Pinocchio runs out the door and away into town. He's caught by a...
Carabinieri.
Thank you, Carrie. Who assumes Pinocchio has been mistreated and imprisons Geppetto.
So I'm guessing
There's no investigation here. He's just like, this little wooden boy has definitely been abused. To jail with you, sir!
I mean, nobody questions the fact that it's a little wooden boy.
Well, no.
That is true.
Logic.
They just go, well, these must be scars from abuse.
It's not, it's just a grain.
Left alone, Pinocchio heads back to Geppetto's house to get something to eat. He's made of wood. Does he need to eat?
Apparently so.
Once he arrives at home, a talking cricket who has lived in the house for over a century warns him of the perils of disobedience and hedonism. You know, that loved character from the film that we all know.
Jiminy Cricket.
Jiminy Cricket, that cute little character we all love. Basically, in retaliation, Pinocchio throws a hammer at the cricket incredibly accurately and kills him.
So basically, Jiminy Cricket is now Jiminy Bugsplat.
Yeah. That evening, Pinocchio falls asleep with his feet on the stove. We've all been there. And wakes to find that they have burned off.
Peril of wooden feet.
Don't have wooden feet, people. Geppetto is released from prison and makes Pinocchio a new pair of feet.
So hang on, Pinocchio's kicked him, run away from him, accused him of beating him, had him imprisoned,
Geppetto
turned his own feet off.
Geppetto comes back from prison and doesn't go, aha, you've got no feet now. He goes, I'll fix that for you.
I'll make you more.
I'll make you some more
See,
feet.
Geppetto is parenting done sort of right.
But it's right because it pays off. In gratitude, Pinocchio promises to attend school, and Geppetto sells his only coat to buy him a school book. That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm sure Pinocchio cherishes that book. On his way to school the next morning, Pinocchio encounters the great marionette theatre, and he sells his school book in order to buy a ticket for the show.
Wow. Such a grateful kid.
The marionettes on stage recognise him. Are they all alive too?
I guess so.
So, is there a lot of magical trees around?
Magical trees and talking like immortal crickets until the hammer hits them.
That's a good point. This cricket's lived all these years, but then this normal hammer thrown by a puppet squishes him. Anyway, the magical marionettes recognise him in the audience and call out to him, angering the puppet master.
Mania fuoco.
Yeah, does a good job you did that. Otherwise you'd have ended up with The puppet master initially decides to use Pinocchio as firewood, but ultimately releases him and gives him 5 gold pieces to give to Geppetto.
So,
what have we learnt so far?
Selling a school book, kicking your father, running away, having him arrested,
and
then burning your feet off.
And Geppetto got accused of abuse.
Yeah, Geppetto got accused of abuse. Doing all that to your dad then earned you 5 gold pieces that you can give to him.
And I'm imagining he probably doesn't give those 5 pieces to Geppetto, does he?
We'll have to find out.
As Pinocchio travels home to give the coins to his father, so he's got the intention to, he meets a fox and a cat. The cat pretends to be blind and the fox pretends to be lame. A white blackbird, bit of an oxymoron, tries to warn Pinocchio of their lies, but the blackbird is eaten by the cat.
No, I'm sorry, that is just a white bird.
This is a dove, clearly.
It's a dove. Pinocchio's going, well, that's a nice white blackbird.
No. I mean, the cat's just like, that's lunch. But, okay, so Pinocchio already, we're like, 10 minutes into the story, and it's already got a body count of 2. The 2 animals convince Pinocchio that if he plants his coins in the Field of Miracles outside the city of Catchfools, bit on the nose with the names, they will grow into a tree... on the nose, Pinocchio. They will grow into a tree with gold coins. I've just nearly made them choke on a tree. They stop at an inn where the fox and the cat gorge themselves on food. I mean, who is serving a child in an inn at Pinocchio's expense and ask to be awoken by midnight? 2 hours before the set time, the pair abandon poor Pinocchio, leaving him to pay for the meal with one of his coins. Rude. They instruct the innkeeper to tell Pinocchio that they left after receiving a message stating that the cat's eldest kitten has fallen ill. Oh no. And that they will meet Pinocchio at the Field of Miracles in the morning. They take off ahead of Pinocchio and disguise themselves as bandits. So they're a cat and a fox pretending to be lame and blind and now disguising themselves as bandits and have eaten an inn and can clearly talk.
Yep.
Why am I questioning this? Okay. Pinocchio continues towards Catchfools despite warnings from the talking cricket's ghost.
And the fact it's called Catchfools.
Yes, I mean, yeah. The disguised fox and cat ambush Pinocchio, but the puppet escapes to a white house. It is generally a white house.
This time it's a black house, but because it's white, it's just the white house.
Yeah. After biting off the cat's paw. Ouch.
Whoa.
What? Upon knocking on the door, Pinocchio is greeted by a young fairy with turquoise hair who says that she is dead and waiting for a hearse. Okay. Unfortunately, the bandits catch him and hang him in a tree. This is the cat and the fox. After a while, the fox and cat get tired of waiting for the puppet to suffocate and die.
Because he's a puppet.
And they leave. So he can talk, he can kick, he can run, he can go to school, but one thing he cannot do is breathe.
He's a fully animated boy for all intents purposes, yeah?
Yes.
But yet back at the Marionette Theatre, the guy was just like, yeah, I'm going to throw you on as firewood. He clearly just looks like a wooden boy. Why would you just throw him on the fire? I'm sorry, I know we're throwing it back, but there's no... Everyone else is treating him like he's just a fully real boy and isn't even acknowledging that he's made of wood. Sorry.
It's alright. You let it out, Lynn. You let it all out.
But the fact that the one person to acknowledge him as wood wants to kill him.
Yes.
In a horrible way. Mm-hmm. I mean, but then again, he's already currently dying in a horrible way. The fairy has Pinocchio rescued by summoning a falcon to get him down and having her poodle servant pick him up in her stagecoach, because when you're a fairy, normal servants just aren't a trick. The fairy calls in 3 famous doctors to tell her whether Pinocchio is dead. Like, who are these famous doctors? Well, 2 of them, an owl and a crow, are unsure of Pinocchio's status. Quite frankly, I'm unsure of their education. The 3rd doctor is the ghost of the talking cricket, who says that the puppet is fine, despite being essentially lynched.
He's dead, though.
But has been disobedient and hurt his father. No shit. You right there, dear?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Do you need a moment? Or
No,
you
I'm good.
You're not dying?
Well, we'll find out. Ask the cricket, he'll lie.
You're fine, but you've been disobedient and you've hurt your father.
I wouldn't trust medical advice from a ghost. They've already lost that battle.
But you would trust medical advice from an owl and a crow?
More than a dead cricket.
Fair point. Plus, he's been hit with a hammer. He's clearly got a head injury.
Has he still got like a lump? Like in the cartoon? Is that where the cartoon element comes from?
Just a lump and like a little stars and birds just tweeting around it.
Ironically, it's a crow. It's the 2 bird doctors flying around there.
Wow.
The fairy administers medicine, I mean, it doesn't say what medicine, to Pinocchio, who consents to take it after 4 Undertaker rabbits arrive to carry away his body. So basically, he will only take his medicine under threat of being buried alive.
I get that. Have you tried swallowing pills without a drink of water?
They get stuck in your throat for hours.
Especially the powder ones. When the sugar-coated ones, they go down alright. But
Yeah.
my eye.
You just poke yourself in the eye.
Is your eye alright? Do you need us to find like falconry doctor to come and check you out?
I think I'm okay.
But the
Okay,
falcon
cool.
got him down from being dead.
Oh,
It was
so
the owl
I'm
and the
sorry,
crow.
I'm mixing up the birds and their career paths.
Right, Pinocchio's recovered at this point. This medicine has worked, or maybe the fact that he can't be hung. Pinocchio lies to the fairy. Always a good idea, Pinocchio. When she asks what happened to the gold coins, and his nose grows so long that he can't turn around in the room. The fairy explains that Pinocchio's lies are making his nose grow and causing a flock of woodpeckers to chisel it down to size. I'm really hoping Pinocchio doesn't have any pain receptors. I mean, come on. She's literally cutting off his nose to spite his face.
I don't think he does have pain receptors.
He's wood.
He's been hung from a tree as well.
And he had his feet burnt off.
And slept through it.
How does it work?
Can you imagine you to wake up and you're just like, what was that smell? Oh, my feet are gone.
But if he's all wood, why did the fire stop burning at his feet?
This is very true. This is very, very true. Maybe he's got he wouldn't have plastic joints. Maybe he's got metal joints.
I'm sorry, out of all of it, is that the thing you're questioning? Not the educated birds, the ghost cricket, the talking magic trees.
Or the their fairy with turquoise blue hair.
I mean, why?
She's the part I believe.
But you know what? She's a good person because she sends for Geppetto to come and live with them in the forest cottage. Because he's had pretty much as bad a day as Pinocchio, let's be honest.
Geppetto's just like, you know what? There's nothing left for me here. It just smells like burnt feet in my house.
He's just going to turn up and be like, okay, so tell me what happened because I was pretty sure you were on your way to school this morning. I haven't seen you for 24 hours. You've got rope burns around
rings
your
him
neck.
up. She's like, hi, have you got a wooden son? Yeah, I think I found him. No, he's still got his feet.
He's had a nose job.
Yeah.
And it was a lot cheaper than you'd think.
Right, let's see what happens next. When Pinocchio heads out to meet his father, he once again encounters the fox and the cat.
Good old friends.
Yep. When Pinocchio notices the cat's missing paw, the fox claims that they had to sacrifice it to feed a hungry old wolf.
Because everyone trusts a fox.
Yep. They remind the puppet.
The poppet?
The puppet.
Hello,
look, you
Poppet.
little poppet. Hello, Poppet.
We said the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh dear. They remind the puppet of the Field of Miracles, and finally, he agrees to go with them to plant his gold.
After they've
Because-
hung him from a tree.
He didn't realise it was them. He
Oh, they were
thought it
dressed
was
as
the
bandits,
bandits.
that's fair
He just, conveniently the fact that they look and probably smell like a cat and a fox,
Yeah.
and one of them is missing a paw,
He is only like 48 hours old.
This is true, and he didn't go to school, so we know he's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
No. But they finally reach the city of Catchfalls, where every animal in town has done something exceedingly foolish and now suffers as a result.
Again, on the nose.
Upon reaching the Field of Miracles, Pinocchio buries his gold and then leaves for the 20 minutes that it will take for his gold to grow into gold coin trees.
Two things you would know would be impossible if you went to school.
And funnily enough, after Pinocchio leaves, the fox and the cat dig up his coins and run away.
I'd like to think it was actually the fox digging whilst the cat supervised, just playing on the fact that he's only got 3 paws.
Hopefully.
Oh.
Aww. When Pinocchio returns, he learns of the fox and the cat's treachery from a parrot who mocks Pinocchio for falling for their tricks.
I'm not liking birds in this world. Birds are not cool.
Pinocchio rushes to Catchfall's courthouse where he reports the theft of the coins to a gorilla judge. There's so many animals in Catchfalls.
It is
What is
so
going on?
crowbarred, isn't it? Crowbarred.
Hey!
That's
I just
right.
genuinely want to know what's happening in 19th century Italy right now.
Yeah, this is just in Italy, isn't it?
Right.
Is there a town still inhabited by talking animals somewhere with talking
I
puppets?
kind of want to find it.
We shall find
We
it.
should.
Italian listeners, hit us up.
So yeah, the gorilla judge is moved by Pinocchio's plea. That he sentences Pinocchio to 4 months in prison for the crime of foolishness.
Oh, if
I
only
thought he
we
was
could sentence
moved
people
by
for
his
that.
plea.
Yeah,
I'm
he's only
totally-
getting 4 months, not life.
That's still 4 months.
Yeah.
He's 2 days old.
He has still been a bit of an
Fortunately,
idiot.
however, all criminals are released early by the jailers when the unseen young emperor of Catchfalls declares a celebration following his army's victory over the town's enemies.
And at this point, the emperor's probably like a vole or something.
And upon being released, Pinocchio leaves Catchfalls.
It's probably the smartest thing he's done all day.
Right.
Yeah.
Pinocchio then heads back to the fairy's house in the forest, but he sneaks into a farmer's yard to steal some grapes.
I spoke too soon.
He is caught in a weasel trap where he encounters a glowworm.
I'm sorry. No. A weasel trap in this world is a person trap. Because everyone is an animal. That's like me. Actually, that's like you outside your house putting a giant like noose out and being like, well, we'll catch something today, and waiting for your neighbour to walk into it. Because that's all the people are animals. Sorry.
Thing is, he probably would.
Yep. Oh dear. The farmer finds Pinocchio and ties him up in the doghouse of his late watchdog, Melampo.
Again, a doghouse is a house.
Yep. But he ties Pinocchio up to guard the chicken coop. When Pinocchio foils the chicken-stealing weasels, the farmer frees the puppet as a reward. Pinocchio finally comes to where the cottage was, finds nothing but a gravestone, and believes that the fairy has died of sorrow.
So, he gets tied
You
up.
don't see Liam's face.
The thing is, I read the brief before we did this, and I read my bits. Not all of my bits. Not your bits. So died of sorrow is a shock. And I was about to say that chicken stealing weasels is my new go-to insult. And then I saw that she died of sorrow.
I mean, it's not Pinocchio's fault. He's been tied up and treated like a dog.
Right.
But, you know, she's died. Poor fairy.
Yeah, so what happens next, Liam?
Oh my gosh.
More birds. See,
More birds! A friendly pigeon. And that sounds like a joke. It's not a joke. A friendly pigeon sees Pinocchio mourning the fairy's death and offers to give him a ride to the seashore,
How big is this pigeon?
where Geppetto is part-timing as Noah and building a boat in which to search for Pinocchio.
Why does he think Pinocchio's gone?
Who knows? Pinocchio is washed ashore when he tries to swim to his father, who apparently has finished building the boat.
Hang on.
Geppetto is then
Pinocchio's
swallowed.
Pinocchio's on land, right?
Yeah, that's
so
what
why
I
does
thought.
he then swim out to
Because
swim back?
apparently,
to get
in
to his
this
dad?
time, Geppetto has finished his boat and disappeared into the distance.
Oh, okay.
Right, so Geppetto is then swallowed by the Terrible Dogfish.
Wait, not a whale?
Not away.
Dogfish! Pinocchio accepts a ride from a dolphin to the nearest island called the Island of Busy Bees.
Oh, wow.
Upon arriving the Island of Busy Bees, Pinocchio can only...
Pinocchio.
He's been so naughty, I've demoted him a letter. Pinocchio... have I skipped? No. Pinocchio can only get food in return for labour. Sounds about right and fair. Pinocchio offers to carry a lady's jug home in return for food and water.
So it's not exactly hard labour.
No, and you don't know how big the jug is, so let's not judge. When they get to the lady's house, Pinocchio recognises the lady as the fairy.
Wait, she's not dead?
Now,
But what's the
miraculously old enough to be his mother.
Hang on.
She's-
How,
what?
how old is Pinocchio? Because if he's only
2
2
days.
days, I mean,
So she's
anyone.
No,
only-
he had 4 months in prison.
This is true.
So
he
he's
got
4
released
months.
early.
So he's probably about 2-3 months old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she really, it has to be, what, a year?
I mean, anyone from 15 up needs...
Well, no, realistically,
he's wooden.
This is a world full of talking animals.
We don't know how people age in
exactly.
this timeline.
This is true. This is very true.
Sorry.
Apparently crickets can live on for over a century, so...
So, she's now old enough to be his mother, however old that has to be. She says she will act as his mother, and Pinocchio will begin going to school. Oh, we've had this before.
Yeah, they tried it. It didn't work.
At this point, the story, Geppetto is nowhere to be seen. Oh, he's been swallowed by a terrible dogfish.
Yeah, he's somewhere in a fish belly.
Oh. That doesn't sound... That's not going to get AAA ratings, is it? She hints that if Pinocchio does well in school and tries his hardest to be good for 1 whole year, he will become a real boy.
I mean, do they know how
she's
hard it is?
pulling out the stops here, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean, who's going to be good in school for a whole year?
I think that means good in general, not just school.
Well, that's
no,
impossible
she's specified. She's specified school.
Fair one.
When he comes home, he can be horrible. He can burn everyone's feet off. That's fine.
Cool.
Pinocchio studies hard and rises to the top of his class. But this makes the other schoolboys jealous. The other boys trick Pinocchio into playing hooky by saying they saw a large sea monster at the beach. And we've all been there. The same one that swallowed Geppetto. Do they know it swallowed Geppetto?
I mean,
or
he's
is that
probably
just...
told his sob story at some point.
But he doesn't know it swallowed Geppetto because he went out swimming to find Geppetto.
Yeah, but then he got washed back to seashore and had to watch as this big giant dogfish just gulped his father
And realistically, how big is a giant dogfish?
Giant.
Big enough to swallow a man. It's just
Everything.
a man-sized dogfish somewhere.
I mean, let's face it, he's been at school for nearly a whole year. Geppetto is just going to be, like,
Poop.
fish poop.
That's
Yeah.
fair. So the boys lie and say that they saw the same monster that swallowed Geppetto. However, the boys, surprise, surprise, were lying. And a fight breaks out. One boy, named Eugene, we have a character name, is hit by Pinocchio's school book. This one he didn't sell for money. Though Pinocchio did not throw it. Pinocchio is accused of injuring Eugene by 2...
Carabinieri.
I'm guessing they're the police.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. But the puppet escapes. During his escape, Pinocchio saves a drowning mastiff named Alidoro in exchange.
So we've got a name for a dog as well.
You know, so we went a little bit too normal there. They were like, right, I've written a whole paragraph where all the schoolboys are human. Now let's have a chatting dog. So, he saves a drowning mastiff named Alidoro. In exchange, Alidoro later saves Pinocchio from the green fisherman, like it's an exchange, who was going to eat the marionette.
What? He's wood.
Don't, Chris, that's not the issue in the story. As Pinocchio returns home after meeting the snail that works for the fairy, Pinocchio is given another chance by the fairy.
Hang on, we're assuming like the snail works for the fairy. What if the snail is the guy that answers the door? How long is that conversation going to take when he's just like, I will just double check who you are, and goes really
The thing is, though,
slowly
they
to get
threw
the
that
fairy.
in like, nah. Like, oh, you know, the snail worker.
Yeah, there just happens to be a snail butler here that we never told you about, and he's just here. He's an intern. He's not really that good. He just takes a while to do things.
So, he's been greeted by the snail butler, basically, and then Pinocchio is given another chance by the fairy. Pinocchio does excellently in school and passes with high honours.
So it's been a year. So Geppetto is definitely fit.
I'm shouting lies here. There's no way that puppet got high honours. I'm sorry. If I can't do well in school, that puppet ain't doing well in school. The fairy promises that Pinocchio will be a real boy the next day. All right. And says he should invite all his friends to a party. He has no friends, clearly. He goes to invite everyone.
He just killed a boy with a book.
But I don't think he killed him. I think he just hit him with a book.
Brained him. Oh, right, okay.
He didn't
brained
throw it.
him.
Oh,
Who threw it?
Someone
Don't
threw
know.
Who threw it?
We don't know.
Pinocchio's book hit him, but it was not thrown by Pinocchio.
It was the ghost of the cricket. Sorry. I imagine your podcast is more serious than this normally.
Nope.
Okay, cool. He goes to invite everyone, but he is sidetracked when he meets a boy named Candlewick, who is about to go to a place called Toyland, where everyone plays all day and never works.
Hint, if something sounds too good to be true...
It probably is.
Yep.
Pinocchio goes along with him when they are taken there by the coachman.
Not at all child-catcherish.
No.
Right?
And they have a wonderful time for the next 5 months. The end.
Nope.
One morning...
Wait, Liam's just dying.
I'm fine.
We good?
Yeah.
Still alive?
Although if I did die, I'll come back as a ghost in the next scene. It's fine.
A ghost
Okay.
cricket.
Cool.
No, I'm not a cricket.
You could be.
Or am I?
What? What is going on here? One morning in the 5th month, Pinocchio and Candlewick awake with donkey's ears.
Oh my god.
A dormouse, obviously, tells Pinocchio that he has got a donkey fever. Also, obviously.
Oh,
Boys
donkey fever.
Boys who do nothing but play and never study always turn into donkeys.
Logical.
Yep, makes sense.
That's completely fair enough.
Soon, both Pinocchio and Candlewick are fully transformed, and Pinocchio is sold to a circus by the coachman. I mean, is he a real donkey or is he a wooden
Also,
donkey?
what kind of circus is just buying a load of donkeys?
I don't know. I mean, you've been to Hunstanton, right? They got donkeys down there.
Yeah, but
It's
not
not
a
circus.
circus.
that's just to wander along the beach day in, day out.
Yeah,
That's worse than
the
a
circus
circus.
might be by a beach.
That is, I apologise.
He's trained by the ringmaster to do tricks. Okay, no, I apologise. He's a performing donkey. To do tricks until he falls and sprains his leg.
Oh no.
Glue.
Can I ask, is he a wooden donkey?
That's what I said, but I don't know. I mean, if he sprains his leg, surely his leg will just crack.
Surely he's a real donkey.
I'm a real
So then
donkey.
surely when he turns back into a boy, he's now a real boy?
Well, we'll
Because-
have to find out.
Oh, if he turns back into a real boy. The ringmaster then sells Pinocchio to a man who wants to skin him and make a drum. So I can assume he's a real donkey.
You know those really popular donkey drums?
The man throws the donkey into the sea to drown him.
There are easier ways to kill a donkey.
But when the man goes to retrieve the corpse, all he finds is a living marionette. Pinocchio explains that the fish ate all the donkey skin off him, and he's now a puppet again. What?
There is a lot to take in that last bit.
Let's just move swiftly on. The Pinocchio.
The Pinocchio.
The Pinocchio. Pinocchio dives back into the water and swims out to sea. I mean,
That went really well the first time for him.
he's wood, he can float. When the terrible dogfish appears, dun dun dun,
Why is it so terrible?
I don't know.
it's probably just having a bad day.
Oh,
you know.
bless it.
Pinocchio swims from it at the advice of the fairy in the form of a little blue-furred goat from atop a high rock.
In
Huh?
the sea?
I mean, yeah, there are supposedly rocks in the sea, it depends on how far he swam out, but firstly, how did the fairy get there? Why be a blue-furred goat instead of the fairy? And why not be a little blue fish swimming alongside
You know,
him,
in the
or a
water.
dolphin?
That makes sense, doesn't it?
But he's swallowed by the dogfish.
Fair enough.
Inside the dogfish, Pinocchio unexpectedly finds Geppetto, who has been living on a ship inside the dogfish and is not at all digested. Pinocchio and Geppetto manage to escape the monster and search for a place to stay. How do they escape the monster? I mean, do they go through his bowels, or do they, make him sneeze, or...
They just tap their heels together 3 times and say there's no place like not in this stomach, there's no place like not in this stomach, there's no place like not in this stomach. Simple. Simple
enough.
fairytale law.
Yeah.
You know what?
100%. Like, I don't know why Carrie questioned it.
I don't
After
know.
everything that's
How
happened,
would you
I
get
don't
out
know
of a
either.
fish stomach?
I wouldn't get in there in the first place. I'm a bit big to be eaten by a fish, even a
And
terrible
that's
dogfish.
this episode's sage advice from Carrie. Don't get swallowed by a fish.
Pinocchio and Geppetto pass 2 beggars, the fox and the cat.
They're a nuisance, they are, aren't they? Always popping up.
Ah, karma is a biatch. The cat has really become blind, and the fox has really become lame, and is also thin and almost hairless, so basically it has mange, and has chopped off its tail to sell for food.
Oh, wow.
Who's buying
so-
foxtail? I'm just saying.
I don't know, they make nice brooches apparently.
Not in this state.
No, mangy foxtail is no. The fox...
Mangy foxtail, FYI, is also my next go-to insult.
I'm glad this podcast has given you things.
The fox and cat plead for food and money, but Pinocchio rebuffs them and tells them that their misfortunes have served them right for their wickedness. Finally, a slight moral to this weird story. Geppetto and Pinocchio arrive at a small house which is home to the talking cricket. Where? Is this the same talking cricket that's dead, or is he being reincarnated, or is
Well,
it like
he's a
his
ghost
son
now. He's just living his ghost life.
in a house?
He has
no need for a house.
He's got on the real estate ladder. He's probably got a couple of good businesses that are booming. The world is your oyster if you're a talking dead cricket.
Good, because if it was a talking live cricket and like the son of the previous talking cricket, then that's just a whole revenge arc waiting to happen.
Pinocchio 2, the cricket's revenge.
This time it's personal.
Last time you saw some gruesome deaths. This time his son is back to reap what he previously sowed.
not gold coins.
Wow. Wow.
The talking cricket says they can stay. Oh, he's so magnanimous. And reveals that he got his house from a little goat with turquoise hair, who apparently made it off the rock somehow. Pinocchio gets a job doing work for a farmer, child labour, and recognises the farmer's dying donkey as his friend Candlewick.
Oh, Candlewick.
He didn't get made into
I
a draw.
really want Candlewick's story to,
I think that should be the sequel. It should be this whole story from Candlewick's point of view. Like the Lion King 3.
Yeah. After long months of working for the farmer and supporting the ailing Geppetto, Pinocchio goes to town with the 40 pennies he has saved to buy himself a new suit.
Whoa.
Why he needs his suit, I do not know.
This is all very well and good, but is Candlewick dead?
What's
happened to
I
Candlewick?
assume that Candlewick will be coming back into this at some point.
He discovers that the fairy is ill and needs money. Pinocchio instantly gives the snail he met back on the island of Busy Bees all the money that he has.
So he goes back to the island of Busy Bees
No,
to give the snail money
the snail is with the
fairy.
yeah.
But was also on the island.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the snail who was the butler, snail butler. They're now no longer on the island.
Ah, so it's been long months,
Yeah.
so he's been looking after Geppetto. So long months is enough time for the snail to make
Yeah.
the trip from the island to the island.
That night, he dreams that he's visited by the fairy who kisses him.
Aww.
When he wakes up, he is a real boy at last. His former puppet body lies lifeless on a chair. Furthermore, Pinocchio finds that the fairy has left him a new suit, boots, and a bag in which he thinks are the 40 pennies that he originally gave to her. Instead, the boy is shocked to find 40 freshly minted gold coins, and Geppetto also returns to full health.
Aww.
No, whoa, what about Candlewick?
And that's the end, Bubs.
Yeah. Candlewick has probably just dropped down dead from overwork and been made into a drum. Or
so-
dog food. For the terrible dogfish.
We'll get into some proper delving into this, but first, that was the plot of the original Pinocchio. And like I said, before I ask you what you both think, I just wanted to read to you how Pinocchio's death is described in the original vivid detail. So you know when he's hung by the cat and the fox.
Yeah.
Cast your minds back to that. It says in the book, wind began to blow and roar angrily, and it beat the poor puppet from side to side, making him swing violently, like the clatter of a bell ringing for a wedding. And the swinging gave him atrocious spasms. His breath failed him, and he could say no more. He shut his eyes, opened his mouth, stretched his legs, gave a long shudder, and hung stiff and insensible. Shit me! That's read from the book of Pinocchio being hung by the cat and the fox. So, what do you think? Liam,
Thank you
what
for
do we
making
think of
that
the original
child-friendly.
Pinocchio?
I have no words. I mean, out of all of that, I care so little about the character of Pinocchio now. Because to be honest, he's not a nice character,
He's a
really.
bit of a
is he?
I think that's kind of the point.
But I just want to know what happened to Candlewick.
Would you like me to...
And you'll find out soon in cinemas in Pinocchio 2, Candlewick Green. Thank you.
Oh,
wow.
It's
Carrie?
brutal.
As I said, I'd heard the story before, and it doesn't get easier with the second retelling. It's just like, what?
It's so harsh.
It's harsh. It's nonsensical. The bit that actually makes the most sense is probably none of it. No.
Which bit is it? Is it the bit where there's a screaming tree stump, talking marionettes, the disguised fox and the cat?
All of the animal, every single animal, I think, is in the story.
Is it the
gorilla
fact that
judge.
the majority of the characters are anthropomorphic animals who have animal pets?
Yeah, this is true.
Jeez.
It's like Peppa Pig.
I mean, how
They're
do you
all animals, but they
decide?
have pets.
Yeah, how do you decide which animal is a pet and which animal is
That's
not a pet?
not
It's an animal
pets. That's
hierarchy.
called slavery.
Yeah. This is true. This is very, very true. There's animal slavery, and Pinocchio became a slave himself when he was treated like a dog.
There's
And a
so
donkey.
much to that story.
And murder.
You know, until the fish ate the donkey skin.
Yeah. The fish ate the donkey's skin.
And also, wasn't he
and-
just inside the donkey? Because he's not naturally donkey shaped.
I don't know. But I think, at the end, when Geppetto just randomly regains his full health.
Yeah. But the fairy has to essentially die for Geppetto to regain his full health.
Mm-hmm.
I just... Yeah. I don't get it. And for all this time, Geppetto's just sitting there in the basically ineffective digestive tract of
Do you
the
think
dogfish.
he's regretting his decision of making... When do you think he started regretting his decision of making Pinocchio?
I mean, if there's ever a warning about becoming a parent, this is it.
Liam, you have children. Would you have if you'd read Pinocchio?
If I came home from prison and my kids had burnt their feet off on the stove, I'd say, "Oi, kids, you build your own feet."
Yeah, that's where he went wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was the start of everything, the downfall.
If you give a penny, they want a pound.
You bollocked him. If he just bollocked him when he did that and made him make his own.
If well, now you're going to walk around with no feet for a week,
Yeah.
and then I'll consider, if you're good, you go to school.
I'm not selling my
I
coat.
might. He's
You
already
can pay for yourself.
he's already sold his coat by this point, hasn't he?
He's already sold. He's sold his coat and bought him a school book. So why didn't he build him a wheelchair and wheel him to school
But
himself?
I suppose at the base of all this, at least he didn't sell his book for drugs,
Drugs are bad.
and that's the positive we're taking from Pinocchio.
Although, quite frankly, the fact that Pinocchio wakes up at the end as a real boy with his marionette puppet there, it could all have basically been a mushroom-induced dream
yeah,
from
easily.
a school kid that just woke up and his dad's been sick. He's eaten some of the medicine by
There's
accident.
random like
he's
toys
woken
around
up.
the room that look like all the characters.
Yeah.
There's
Like-
a little
like at the end
blue
of
goat,
Labyrinth.
a little turquoise goat.
Yeah.
All the animals dotted around. They work in a zoo, so they've got lots of
Yeah.
proper animals.
Should you need us? No, you're just going to sit there and just be like, okay, the puppet's there. This is clearly just a fever
Did
dream.
you just quote the end of Labyrinth?
I did. I did.
Should you need us, we'll be here. And then they fade into the... See, I know your weird little quotes.
We digress. So now the Disney version of Pinocchio isn't all happy smiles and fuzzy feelings either. Still does have some pretty dark themes, such as
Really?
the part where the naughty boys are turned into donkeys and sold into slave labour.
Terrifying.
But that's nothing compared to the original.
Next time you go to Hunstanton, guys, just double check the names of the donkeys.
Just stop. Honestly, next time
Candlewick?
I walk down there, I'm like, "Candlewick, is that you? Daddy, can we go for a run with the donkeys?" Yes, we can. You get on Candlewick, just stamp your foot twice if it's you, and we'll make a run for it.
I swear, my landlord actually knows the guy that owns those donkeys. I'm going to get him to name one
No,
Candlewick.
you'll
just for
get
you.
a letter from your landlord going, "Dear Carrie, we've had words from the locals that you've been talking to the donkeys. Can you stop, please?"
Right. I think we should carry on, guys.
Right.
You right, Liz?
Exactly Disney's mood. Does that make sense? Is that the
It
word?
did if you were followed on exactly after I said, but we digressed.
Sorry.
Right. Okay. So the Disney movie starts. Is that right? Is that all right to say that? Yeah. Cool.
You're doing good.
It begins with Jiminy Cricket. It is Jiminy Cricket explaining that he is going to tell a story of a wish coming true, very similar to the version we just heard. His story begins in the Italian workshop of a woodworker named Geppetto. Jiminy watches as Geppetto finishes work on a wooden marionette, who he names Pinocchio. Before falling asleep, Geppetto makes a wish on a star that Pinocchio will be a real boy. During the night, a blue fairy visits the workshop and brings Pinocchio to life, although he still remains a puppet. She informs him that if he proves himself brave, truthful and unselfish, he will become a real boy, and assigns Jiminy to be his conscience.
Because everybody needs a talking ghost cricket on their shoulder.
He's
He's
not a
not a
ghost,
ghost
he's just
in this,
he's
Carrie.
a normal cricket at this
Sorry,
point.
apologies.
Geppetto's not in prison. Geppetto discovers that his wish has come true and is filled with joy. However, on his way to school, Pinocchio is led astray by Honest John the Fox. If your name has the word honest before it, you're not
No.
honest. That's like being called Tiny. It's a lie. And his companion, Gideon the Cat, a good name, who convinces him to join Stromboli's puppet show. Despite Jiminy's objections, Pinocchio becomes Stromboli's star attraction as a marionette who can sing and dance without strings. However, when Pinocchio wants to go home for the night, Stromboli locks him in a bird cage. Jiminy arrives to see Pinocchio and is unable to free him. The blue fairy appears and asks Pinocchio why he was not at school. Jiminy urges Pinocchio to tell the truth, but instead he starts telling lies, which causes his nose to grow longer and longer and longer. So you see, I added an extra longer for dramatic tension.
And
Pinocchio
really
vows to be good from now on, and the blue fairy returns his nose to its original form and sets him free while warning him that this will be the last time she can help him.
And not a woodpecker in sight.
Yet.
Really?
She does, however, burn his feet off.
No,
She doesn't. She doesn't.
She doesn't.
Do you not remember that part of the film?
No.
It's in the special features.
Oh, fair.
I'm at the top.
Director's cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, across town, Honest John and Gideon meet a coachman, who promises to pay them money if they can find naughty little boys for him to take to Pleasure Island. I'm sorry, but that sounds incredibly sinister. Can you find me some naughty little boys to take to Pleasure Island? Encountering Pinocchio on his way home, they convince him that he needs to take a vacation there. On the way to Pleasure Island, he befriends Lampwick.
Yep.
Well,
Candlewick.
they would have had
Lampwick.
oil lamps now instead of candles.
Candles still exist. A delinquent boy without... he looks a bit like a donkey already.
Yeah.
He's got...
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Sorry.
all
Without
coming
rules
back.
or authority to enforce their activity, Pinocchio and the other boys soon engage in smoking. I forgot this is in the Disney film.
Yep.
Smoking, gambling, vandalism, and getting drunk. Ooh, the worst of them all.
I feel like we should watch Pinocchio now, just to be like, what the hell?
Much to Jiminy's dismay, later, while trying to get home, Jiminy discovers that the island hides a horrible curse. The boys brought to Pleasure Island transform into donkeys for their misbehaviour and are sold to slave labour in the salt mine and circus. I don't remember the salt mine. Is there a salt mine in the film?
There must be.
I don't remember that. Jiminy ruined... Oh, no, he doesn't ruin. Jiminy...
Things have already been ruined.
Yeah, Jiminy runs back to warn Pinocchio, only to discover that Lampwick has transformed into a donkey.
Yeah, not just the
Pinocchio-
donkey ears.
Full on donkey. He's gone donkey mode full on. Pinocchio manages to escape the island, only with donkey ears and a tail. Some would say he got off light, really, didn't he? Upon returning home, Pinocchio and Jiminy find the workshop vacant. They soon get a letter from the Blue Fairy as a dove.
So not a white blackbird.
I mean, is she a blue dove? Is she a white dove? And how is a dove writing letters?
Anyway.
That's true. Stating that Geppetto had ventured out to sea to save Pinocchio from... I'm with you. I was like, wait a second. But was swallowed by a terrible giant whale named Monstro.
Better than a terrible dogfish.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
More space to live. You set up a
Yeah.
life in there, really, couldn't you?
I mean, he does.
And he's now living in his belly. Determined to rescue his father, Pinocchio jumps into the sea, accompanied by Jiminy. You know, crickets who are well known for swimming. Pinocchio is soon swallowed by Monstro, so that went well. Where he is reunited with Geppetto. Pinocchio devises a scheme to make Monstro sneeze, giving him a chance to escape.
Because everybody knows that your belly is attached to your nose, therefore when you
very
sneeze,
good,
you
yeah.
chuck up as well.
That's true.
Yeah, poor Monstro, I mean, he's got real bad indigestion, and then all of a sudden he's got a cold as well.
Shouldn't be swallowing people, really, should he, though?
No.
The scheme works, but the enraged whale chases them to Harry Hill music and smashes their raft.
Harry Hill?
Hill music was... Oh, you know who I am, Benny Hill.
Yeah.
Harry Hill music is just Harry Hill shouting the word badger over and over again. So the whale chases them and smashes their raft. Pinocchio pulls Geppetto to safety in a cave before Monstro crashes into it. Geppetto, Figaro, who is now being mentioned for the first time, Cleo,
Who is also now being
being
mentioned for the first time.
and
Figaro
Jiminy.
is their cat and Cleo is their goldfish, just FYI.
Yeah, you know, they're just characters in
Yeah.
their own
Because
right.
if you're going to rescue your son on a ship and potentially get eaten by a whale,
Take a
you
cat
need
and
to
a
take
fish
your cat and
with you.
goldfish.
Yep.
Yeah,
But the goldfish I find funny that is in his goldfish bowl, if
Yeah.
he's in the sea.
yeah, that's pretty good. Basically, the whole menagerie of characters are washed up safely on the beach, but Pinocchio was presumably killed, yeah?
Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun.
Dun, 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 the end. No, back home,
The end.
Geppetto
No.
grieves over Pinocchio with Jiminy Cricket and the pets, who we're now mentioning for the second time. They also mourn alongside him and the Blue Fairy. However, the Blue Fairy, however, decides that Pinocchio has proven himself brave, truthful and selfless simply by getting swallowed by a whale, basically.
If it was that easy.
Because that is what,
Jonah,
actually,
you're
up to
on
this
point.
point, he's done the opposite of all those things.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
And literally, he's come home and gone, oh no, while I've been doing all this, my dad's been swallowed by a whale.
Yeah.
Gotta go and
Yeah.
save him. He doesn't actually know that. He just knows he's
Yeah.
out there, isn't he?
I mean, he spent his time drinking, smoking, gambling,
Yeah,
and being a
but because he
vandal.
got swallowed by a whale and died, he's
Yeah.
brave and truthful. Sorry. So the blue fairy, believing he's ticked all the boxes, resurrects Pinocchio.
Oh, so he is actually dead.
Yeah.
Yep, reversing the Pleasure Island curse and turning him into a real boy.
Yay!
Double whammy.
Double whammy. He's alive, not a donkey, and a real boy.
Still an ass, though.
It's a good day for Pinocchio.
Hey.
That was a good joke.
Thank you.
Pinocchio awakens and reveals that he is alive.
And a real boy.
A real boy. And everyone celebrates. Yay.
Woo!
Jiminy steps outside to thank the fairy and is swiftly crushed by a hammer. No. Steps outside to thank the fairy and is rewarded with a solid gold badge that certifies him as an official conscience.
Which
and because
he
it's
pins
solid,
to him.
Because it's solid gold would weigh more than him and he cannot move.
But do you know what I've just realised?
What?
The one thing we said we took away from the original was that no one did drugs or anything bad. In this one,
They've done all those
he
things.
does all those things. Actually, this one is worse for children than the
He
original.
gets high. He does get high because he goes. His eyes roll. He goes
Yeah.
red.
So technically, the original.
Also, I don't care what happened to Lampwick in this. I don't care.
you don't care, but you cared about Candlewick.
Candlewick will forever be in my heart.
Yep.
Oh my god. So, dark themes are still pretty prevalent throughout. But as with all Disney films, there is a nice, neat little bow waiting to be tied up at the end, and they all lived happily ever after.
Aww.
Critical analysis of Disney's Pinocchio identifies it as a simple morality tale that teaches children the benefits of hard work and conventional values. Also, don't smoke.
No, sorry. What hard work does Pinocchio do?
He swims into a whale.
He's wood. Literally, there's a current. What actually he did is,
The whale just opens its mouth
yeah,
and he
he
just
has
floats
literally
in.
jumped into the sea and been swallowed by a whale. That's
I mean,
what he's done, and
Let's
then
be honest,
died.
Jiminy's doing the hard work
Yeah,
here.
Jiminy's just the whole film. Jiminy's going, no, don't, just go to school, Pinocchio. Come on,
Yep.
I mean, to be
That's why you
honest,
should always let your conscience be your guide.
get out of your podcast.
I was just content to let a silence go without the crickets. And he's brilliant.
Thanks, Liam. Thanks. Come again.
So, although it became the first animated feature to win a competitive Academy Award, it won 2 for Best Music Original Score and for Best Music Original Song for When You Wish Upon a Star.
Which is like the Disney song,
Yeah,
isn't it?
classic.
Yeah.
It was initially a box office disaster due to World War II, because what people needed to get over an evil boy was a really, really grumpy evil boy with a tash that hated everybody.
Oh yeah. Fair.
Yeah. It eventually made a profit in its 1945 reissue and is considered one of the greatest animated films ever made, with a 100% rating on the website Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah.
Wow. They clearly haven't seen Over the Hedge.
I mean, if a film this dark is like one of the best films of all time...
It's morally dubious, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to advertise smoking on telly now, but they will play this film at Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, it makes Watership Down look
Genuinely, the scene when Lampwick turns... Is it
Into-
Lampwick?
Yeah,
Into a
that
dog,
really
it's terrifying.
scares me.
Even now, it makes you go, oh.
Yeah.
'Cause it's quite graphic.
And the hee-haw bits
Oh.
are like haunting.
Haunting shrieks
Or
of
haunting
terror.
Hee-Haws.
Yes, the haunting Hee-Haws. That might have to be the name of the podcast. The haunting Hee-Haws.
Hee-Haws.
Candlewick and the haunting Hee-Haws.
Oh, Candle.
Oh.
Why did you do that?
Sorry.
Why
that's-
the feels?
That's a sequel. Candlewick and the Haunted Hee-Haws. It's like he goes off on adventures, just Candlewick and the Ghost of Jiminy.
I don't want the Ghost of Jiminy in it. Can we have the Jiminy from the Disney version?
Okay.
Because I think he'd approve of Candlewick.
Yeah.
he would.
Candlewick literally ticks all those boxes.
He'd be like, finally, a
Wrong
boy
place
that
at the wrong
doesn't give me
time.
a hernia.
Or crush me with a hammer. I think at the end of it, there's Jiminy in the Disney version. Jiminy should look towards Pinocchio and go, well, at least you didn't crush me with a hammer.
There's
Oh,
still time.
the sequel.
The film and characters are still prevalent in popular culture, featured at various Disney parks and in other forms of entertainment. And in 1994, Pinocchio was added to the United States National Film Registry for being deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Okay. Many film historians consider this to be the film that most closely approaches technical perfection of all the Disney animated features. I mean, it's terrifying, but it is a good film. Like, technically, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Film critic Leonard Maltin said, with Pinocchio, Disney reached not only the height of his power, but the apex of what many critics consider to be the realm of the animated cartoon. I've just read down a little bit further and seen an
That's why I said to you hadn't read the research I sent you.
I'm so excited. A live adaptation has been in the works since 2015. A live adaptation. How do you do a live adaptation of a marionette?
Uh-huh.
I don't know, but I imagine Taron Egerton will play Pinocchio.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. With an announcement this month that Robert Zemeckis has officially joined the project as director, with a script he co-wrote with Chris Weitz and Simon Farnaby.
And
Not
Rebel
Barnaby.
Wilson will be stepping into the role of the Blue Fairy and ruining it like she did Cats.
Haven't seen Cat.
He's not okay with
Are you
with
right?
cats, dear listener.
No, I'm not, and no.
Okay, another time.
It's one of those things he will be bringing up in his next therapy session.
Oh, there's not enough time.
Do we think that the live action version will be darker? I mean, with Simon Farnaby on board, it's going to be funny. We know that much. But will it be darker? Because a lot of Disney movies have had darker themes lately, especially with live action.
Yes.
They won't have smoking in it.
No,
but they might have a bit more of
They'll
the
probably
original themes.
They'll probably start drinking
Yeah.
in it, like
Yeah.
at Pleasure Island, but it will be unspecified.
But do you think they'll
drinking
go
and
back,
vandalism.
Do you think they'll go
It will
back
be
a bit and
darker.
have more of the trying to kill Pinocchio, maybe? Because they have because
I don't
Maleficent
think
they
so.
used was a bit darker, and
I don't know.
I think they'll hang
Pan
him.
was darker, but they don't
Yeah,
hang in
but the
children
problem
in
is all
Pirates of
the
Caribbean.
live action adaptations
This is
of the Disney films have been more honest to their cartoon predecessors, except for Mulan, obviously, that's coming out.
It's completely
Which is actually probably more an actual historically accurate version
Yeah.
of Mulan, which it
to be
is.
fair, there is a film, I think it was on Netflix, of the original legend of Mulan based on it, and it's so different because she's in the army for a full 10 years, and the Li Shan character, he dies pretty early on.
I think you'll find the version ever released of that is more historically accurate.
I'm looking forward to
But
fights.
I imagine the live action version of
Pinocchio.
will be more like the animated version, but a bit darker. Because
Yeah.
the moment you take that out of animation and put it into real people, it's going to be darker.
Yeah, it's
Exactly, especially puppets are kind of creepy. A lot of people are scared.
Oh, yeah.
So having a real life in
I
inverted commas puppet
would
is
be
going to be
disappointed
creepy.
if I see this film and any part of the Pleasure Island doesn't creep me out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to creep you out because it's supposed to be a warning, don't have this lifestyle. So
Yeah.
it's supposed to be
And for kids
sinister.
to behave.
Yeah.
Have you seen Mary Poppins, the new one?
Yeah.
I haven't, no.
I mean, there's a fox in that,
Yes, there is.
and he's villainous.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of look I think they should go with, but
Yeah.
in real world. So it'll be interesting
Oh, yeah,
what they do,
definitely.
because obviously it's got to be animals,
Yeah.
but they've got to be realistic looking, but not Lion King realistic.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they
Realistic
do
enough.
with it.
Yeah.
haven't
I mean,
seen
But
that.
I think it'll be dark, but to the cartoon
But
standards.
I think a lot of people will have forgotten, because I don't know about you guys, but I haven't actually seen the cartoon Pinocchio for a while.
Oh, I have
No, I
easily
haven't
not seen
either.
it for at least 10 years.
And I think a lot of people will go to the remake and have forgotten how dark it is.
Yeah, but I would say actually, don't rewatch the cartoon before
No.
you watch it.
No.
Because like with Aladdin, I don't think it benefits the new one watching the old one, because all you get reminded of is like
Yeah.
Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I know it's
definitely.
not the same thing with Pinocchio, but you will go in comparing it.
But, I mean, I think compared to the original story that we all now know, can't be that much worse.
Well, fair. So, that was the origins of the original story of Pinocchio. I really enjoyed learning this one, as I genuinely knew nothing about the original. But
Scarred.
it's now
Scarred.
time for the ridiculous death part of our podcast.
Yay!
Liam, if you didn't know, we end all of our podcasts with either ridiculous death, or where a ridiculous death would be disrespectful, we do a ridiculous survival.
I read this bit as literally that line you just read, and I have a qualm with you.
Oh, God. Okay.
Every death is disrespectful. Literally going, that's a funny way of dying, is literally disrespectful. So going, where it's disrespectful, is a nonsense line.
No, but what
Instead
I mean
of disrespectful,
is
where it's inappropriate, like
Never
when we did
inappropriate.
World War.
Well, when we-
Comedy
when we did-
teaches you that nothing is
yeah,
inappropriate.
but when we did the Holocaust Memorial one, we didn't think we could then do a ridiculous death from the Holocaust.
Here's
Yeah.
a good Holocaust joke. No, I'm joking.
There is
I
no
understand
such
what you mean.
thing
There
as
are
a
certain
Holocaust joke.
scenarios, but
Yes.
generally the concept of where it's disrespectful is a bit,
We
null
mean
void.
no disrespect to anybody that has died in a stupid way,
No.
but also
Yes.
thank you
Yeah,
for
no,
the
I get what you
entertainment.
mean. I get what you mean.
So, and usually we try and pick the death from the same time period or historical topic we're discussing. So today's is about a man called Henry Taylor. Henry Taylor.
Henry Taylor.
Yeah, so
Good old Henry Taylor.
I had
There's
some
a
coke.
little hyphen after the A. Taylor.
Okay, start
Say
that
it,
again.
spray it, Liam.
Today is about a
No.
man called Henry Taylor. Not much else is known about him besides the way in which he died.
Okay.
Now,
That's good when that's the
Yeah.
only thing you ask for.
he died in November of 1872. Henry Taylor was a pallbearer at Kensal Green Cemetery in London. One day he was carrying a coffin, looking straight ahead as you do. He tripped over a stone and stumbled.
Oops.
This caused the other pallbearers to let go of the coffin, and it fell on top of Taylor, crushing him to death in front of all the mourners. The widow of the man in the coffin, whose funeral it actually was,
Obviously.
reportedly nearly went into hysterics.
But reportedly, when someone reports that someone nearly went into hysterics,
She probably just
it
went.
means that she went,
I mean, you dread dropping the coffin anyway.
well, I don't carry many coffins, to be honest.
And do you not?
No, I don't
Not
like a habit of it.
No.
In fairness, I luckily got out of it the last time I had to, but I would have tripped. I genuinely would have tripped. But you panic anyway about it. But the
then
fact
there
of it
would have
crushing
been-
him to death.
But there
How
would have been
heavy was this
six-
coffin?
There would have been 6 pallbearers. One person falls. Why did the other 5 drop it?
One person fell and the others went, oh!
No.
Put their hands in the air.
Thing is, if he stumbled and lurched forward, he was obviously still holding the coffin at this point, so they're all, like, it's been wrenched out of all their hands, they're all like,
Sorry,
watching in slow motion.
Was it Henry Taylor carrying this coffin and 5 children? And they were going, honestly, Henry, they were really close to him, and that was his final wish, that you and his 5 infant children carried his casket. And Henry was like, oh, fine, I'm sure it'll be fine. They look quite strong.
As long as
And
he
they're
doesn't-
like, you know what, Henry? Just don't trip over. And he was like, oh, come on, guys.
I
I'm
do
not-
this for a living.
I'm not going to trip over.
Yeah.
He had one job.
So yeah,
Oh,
Henry Taylor.
thanks for the memories, Henry. So, Liam.
That's definitely not how you pronounce my name, but yeah.
Liam.
Liam, that was your first time on a nice cup of what?
Say our podcast.
Did you
right,
just fail at pronouncing your own podcast name?
Carrie.
It was one that I came up with as well. This was your first time on a nice cup of hister tea. Did you have fun? Sarcastic shit. Did you have fun?
Yes.
I don't
yes,
care
I
now.
did.
That sounded really sarcastic, Liam. Yes, I had fun.
I did.
Well, as a thank you, we were going to give you time to promote you and your podcast, but we won't now, so thanks for listening, guys. No, go on, go ahead, promote. Plug shamelessly, you little whore.
Wow.
Silence, okay.
All
thanks
right
for
then.
listening, guys.
I have a podcast along with my friend who you both know, Tobias,
Hi, Tobias.
called the ManNic Podcast.
Why
It's-
is it called the ManNic Podcast?
Well, because my surname is Mandy and his surname is Nichols, so we did the clever thing. We basically shipped ourselves and put our surnames together as ManNic.
I would
to
never
be fair-
ship anything that was manic, if I'm honest.
2 N's, and that is
I ship
very
you guys.
important.
Okay.
I ship you both.
And it's basically a geek culture podcast where we discuss everything from Doctor Who, The Walking Dead. We focus quite heavily on the Marvel MCU.
Wait, you're a geek?
Yeah, just a little bit. We do touch on musicals. Like, currently we're on season 2. We're halfway through season 2. There'll be a new episode coming out just before Valentine's Day. When does this episode come out?
Tuesday.
So literally this will come out. Yeah, there'll be an episode
Next
about
week,
a
then.
week later from when this episode airs.
Okay.
Which is a Valentine's episode, just generally. We've got a couple of segments running where we're currently casting the X-Men, one by one, each episode, ahead of their appearance in the MCU. So like in the episode you're going to listen to, we cast Storm.
Ah, cool.
That we're going to listen to. We've been told we're going to listen to it.
I actually said that more to your listeners than you, because I know that you've listened to like 5 episodes. You've listened to maybe 2 episodes.
How many of ours have you listened to?
A couple.
It's not. It's more for lack of time than lack of want.
No, it's fair enough. But anyway, each of our episodes range from between 45 minutes to about an hour and a half, generally, and then we do release mini ManNics here and there as well.
And mini ManNics.
Love it.
Mini ManNics, which are about 15. They're bite-sized episodes.
Yeah, cool.
Well, I shall be listening to it because, we need more of the gold that we've had in this episode.
Yes.
And you know what? If you listen to this, you think, no, I've listened to one podcast. I don't want to listen to another podcast. That's fine. Go over to my YouTube channel,
Hey!
which is Mr. Mandy Pants. Also on TikTok.
But if you want some more of us, without Liam or with Liam, we might.
Hey, I'll come back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'd
thanks for
have you back.
coming here,
Kelly,
Liam.
if you ever want to get rid of Emily, go and have a chat. And hey, Emily, if you ever want to get rid of Carrie, come and have a chat.
Hey, Tobias, if you ever want to get rid of Liam,
Come and have a chat.
Hey, Liam, if you ever want to... Hey, Tobias, if you ever want to get rid of... Wait, no, that's me! Thank you for having me, it's been fun.
Thank you for being here, it's been fun.
It has been. It's been perfectly chaotic.
So
and
one
I
thing
love
we've
it.
learnt today is that Pinocchio is horrific.
In every which
Oh.
way.
And always let your conscience be your guide.
So, boys and girls,
unless you hit it with a
if
hammer.
you ever see a talking cricket, don't hit it with a hammer.
Or any kind of cricket, because that's just mean.
Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Wow.
Smooth.
subtle. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Stay manic. Oh, that's not my podcast.
Remember,
No.
as always, if you want to suggest a topic, please let us know on either Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Our handle is @cupofhistory.
Ooh.
Yes, and we will speak to you all soon. It's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from them. Hey, I tooed Ronnie it.
You tooed Ronnie'd it. You tooed Ronnie'd it. Oh, God.
I want you to pick up on the eyebrow movement as well.
Okay.
Yeah, there is eyebrow movement.
If I don't hear the eyebrow movement in that edit,
Full eyebrow movement.
oh.
Hang on, do it again. Eyebrow movement.
Don't.
We can hear the wiggle.
There actually is a bit of sound.
That would be my breathing.
Go back, I want to hear it.